By the way, ma'am, I'm not incorrect. Most people don't even know about this right here. This is just part one that was published in 1956. And this is part two that was published in 1957. A report of the Interdepartmental Committee for the Study of Jurisdiction over Federal Areas within the States. This goes into territorial jurisdiction. So on the subject of territorial jurisdiction, you raise a good point. But on law of the sea, you're in error. I found this law review a while back. That was Article 3's case and controversy distinctions in the dual function of the federal courts, where it goes over admiralty and maritime law. You look at this little paragraph right here. Admiralty maritime as admiralty had been one of the few areas of national judicial concern during colonial, revolutionary, and Confederation times. Article 3's extension of judicial power to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction generated virtually no opposition. Federal courts have always construed this broad jurisdictional grant of authority to develop substantive admiralty law. Wait a minute. Admiralty law, that's a new term, or is it? A uniform judicial approach was especially critical because admiralty was considered a branch of the law of nations and subject within the competence of federal rather than state courts. So it's international law, not law of the sea. Now there's a footnote 276. See, 276 says, see Luke v. Lyde, 97 English Reporter, 614, 617, 1759. Mansfield L.J. Maritime law is not the law of a particular country, but the general law of nations. 12 Holdsworth, Supranote 102 at 626 and 27. English law considers admiralty as raising issues of international law. The Federalist number, and that would be the Federalist Papers, number 80 at 538, Alexander Hamilton, Jacob E. Cook, 1961. Maritime causes generally depend upon the laws of nations. Wilson's work, Supranote 75 at 279. Another branch of the law of nations which has also become particularly important, that admiralty. Let's continue this conversation. Another branch, I'm going to restate because it cut off. Another branch of the law of nations, which is also peculiarly important by the extension of commerce, is the law maritime. Three-story Supra 91, section 1664 at 531. You could possibly find these citations. Admiralty cases raise many questions of international law, stressing that admiralty jurisdiction was given to the federal court because it relates to law of nations and affects diplomacy and foreign commerce. Parks Welsher Supranote 37 at 752, 1076. Admiralty is considered a distinct body of law, quasi-international in character. Therefore, it required uniform development by federal courts. Admiralty jurisdiction is commerce. Look, 11 American Law Reports, 1155, power of Congress to permit application of state workers' compensation laws to injuries within admiralty jurisdiction. And what section is that under? Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. The Congress shall have the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among several states and with Indian tribes. 29 American Law Reports, Federal 325 Comment Note, Admiralty jurisdiction in matters of contract. See, you have two types of law under Admiralty jurisdiction. You have Admiralty law and you have maritime law. like this. The jurisdiction is the power of the court. And then to the left you have admiralty law, and then to the right you have maritime law. In other words, contracts that are in commerce. And who has the right to regulate commerce? Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, Congress. It's not law of the sea. It's contracts that are in commerce over the land between nations. We also call those states, or contracts over the sea. And if you don't believe the states are nations, why do they have a section in the Governmental Styles Manual that calls them nationalities? See, we have a State Department. We don't have a nation department. Your nationality is your birthright. Again, it's not this old mysterious teaching of law of the sea on the land, blah, blah, blah. See, you're reading the wrong stuff.